ASO in 2026 from optimization to strategy. Just a few years ago, ASO was mostly about keywords and screenshots. In 2026, it's becoming a growing system that connects product, marketing, and AI-driven discovery. Hi, I'm Anna, an ASO specialist. In this video, we'll talk about how ASO has evolved, why 2026 is turning point for app growth, what has changed in the App Store and Google Play, and what ASO trends and market shifts you need to prepare for next. Let's start with the big question. Why is 2026 such a critical moment for ASO? 2026 marks a turning point because ASO is no longer a set of tactics. It's becoming a strategic layer between the product, advertising, and AI-powered discovery. Several forces are colliding at the same time. Paid acquisition costs keep rising. Competition is growing due to faster and cheaper app development. And AI now influences users' decisions even before they open the store. As a result, ASO no longer answers the question, how do we rank higher? Instead, it answers something much bigger. How will users find, understand, and choose our product? To understand this shift, we need to look at what has changed inside the app stores themselves, from keywords to users' intent. Apple is clearly moving toward an intent-based discovery model. The App Store is getting better at understanding meaning, not just matching keywords. User search is a more conversational way, and Apple's language models connect these searches with real use cases. On top of that, discovery no longer starts inside the App Store. With app intents, app can be surfaced via Siri, Spotlight, and system-level actions. This means your metadata must sound nature and human. Descriptions that reflect real users' needs now outperform mechanical keyword stuffing. Intent-based discovery changes everything, and custom product pages are Apple's way of letting you respond to it. That's why in 2026, custom product pages are no longer just an advertising tool. They're becoming part of organic visibility and conversion. The App Store is moving away from a one-app, one-page logic. Instead, we see a new principle emerging. One user's task, one relevant page, higher conversion. This requires a more architectural approach to ASO. Pages for different use cases, audiences, seasons, and regions. A single universal page is no longer enough. Google Play is moving in the same direction, but with its own focus. It's doubling down on experimentation and visual merchandising. Store pages are no longer static, they are constantly tested and refined. Another important shift is the closer connection between ASO and paid acquisitions. Ads can now lead directly to custom store pages, reducing the gap between app promise and store experience. In both stores, the conclusion is the same. App stores are no longer catalogs, they are decision support systems. By the way, we are covered App Store and Google Play optimization in other videos on the channel. ASO Trends 2026, where conversion really happens. Visual assets as the language of conversion. In the world of short-form video and shrinking attention spans, visual have become the primary driver of decision. Icons, first screenshots, and previews are no longer a decoration. They are the fastest way to communicate product value. Interestingly, even advertising budgets are shifting back towards static images because they deliver value faster and with less cognitive load. The same logic applies to ASO. The first two screenshots matter more than ever. But how do you understand what kind of visuals actually work in your category? This is where market analysis becomes essential. For example, I usually start by comparing store pages side by side using tools that simplify visual research. In ASOMobile, I use visual comparison to analyze apps by category or by a specific search query. Let's take shopping apps as an example. When you compare top shopping apps in a category, here we can select a category we need, or for a keyword like online shopping or fashion store, a clear pattern appears. Screenshots almost always include strong text overlays. Messages focuses on benefits, discounts, fast delivery, wide selection, easy returns. The AI alone is rarely enough. Users need to immediately understand why this app is better. This tells us one important thing. In shopping apps, screenshots don't just show the interface, they explain the value. For other categories like mobile games, let's select the game category here. The logic is different. Their visuals focus much more on gameplay, and we analyze them using a different approach. Users want to immediately understand what the game looks like in action, what the core mechanics are, and what kind of experience they get – relaxing, competitive, story-driven, or casual. That's why in games screenshots often highlight real gameplay sense, key mechanics or levels, and visual styles rather than long explanations. On the screen, you'll notice how top games use screenshots to show the experience, not just describe it. Category analysis gives us a market-wide view, but if you want to understand what your direct competitors are doing, the next step is the Competitors tab. Here's how it works. Go to the Competitors section and click Plus Competitor button. Then you simply add the app you want to compare by typing their names, your direct rivals, category leaders, or app with a similar positioning. Once you're added, select them from the competitors list, and that's it. Now you can quickly compare how competitors design their screenshots, structure visual messages, highlight benefits or features, and evolve their store pages over time. This kind of comparison quickly shows what will stand out for a niche and where there is room to stand out. ASO is a system of experimentation. ASO in 2026 is no longer about one-time optimization, it's a continuous system. Hypothesis, test, insights, scale. Teams that build structured experimentation process gain a substantial advantage. Those who update listing randomly quickly lose momentum. The key question is not what should we test, but how do we build strong hypotheses. Good hypotheses always start with research. Before testing, I usually study competitors, category trends, and culture context. For example, I personally like using tools that let me compare app page side by side, and for that I use ASOMobile Analytics. I leave the link in the description. In App Report, I often check not just the visuals, but also the text competitors use, what kind of captions they add to screenshots, which benefits they highlight, and what tone they use in their description. It's interesting to see the patterns, like what most apps in your category focus on, and where you could do something different. Of course, I also look at how competitors evolve over time. These tools that track updates. I like Update Timeline tool, it's a visual calendar. You can see how apps change their icons, screenshots, or metadata, and when they do it. This helps understand the dynamics of the category and identify moments when multiple apps move in a similar direction. It becomes even more useful when you add competitors to the timeline. You can add any competitor by clicking the plus competitor button and entering the name of the application, as we did in the previous tool. Then select the competitors you want from the list, and they appear on the same timeline as your app. In just a few clicks, you can see when competitors update their screenshots or titles, how often they experiment, and wherever changes happens as a part of a big trend. This makes it much more easier to spot patterns and turn them into test ideas. There is one more feature that is especially useful, the in-app event tab. Here you can see promotional events, seasonal content, limited time activities, or special editions displayed as interactive event cards. This is a great source of inspiration. Another important layer is localization and culture. Colors, imagery, and visual metaphors don't mean the same thing everywhere. That's why I often use GeoChecker to see how store pages look across different regions, from titles and descriptions to screenshot styles. When you combine competitor research, category trends, and geo-specific visuals, you can build much stronger hypotheses. For example, lifestyle-focused visuals often resonate better with European users. Anime-style graphics tend to drive higher installs in Japan. And shorter, more direct description usually convert better in the US. These patterns are rooted in culture context. In many Western countries, red is associated with warnings and errors, while in China it symbolizes luck and positivity. In some Arab markets, visual often follows modesty norms. Whereas Japan, anime-inspired styles feel nature and familiar. Understanding these differences helps turn ASO into a real experimentation system, not just a set of random updates. I've already covered these tools in detail in other videos on the channel. If you'd like to see the full workflow step by step, you'll find the link in the description. And if you want to explore all ASOMobile features and go deeper with your analysis, you can use our promo code ASO2026 for 30% off any plan. Users' engagement in 2026, rising cost as the new reality. Rising acquisition costs are no longer temporary. They are structural. Install volumes are stabilizing, markets are maturing, and competition for attention is increasing. In this environment, organic visibility becomes strategic. ASO is no longer a supporting channel, it's a part of survival and growth model. Market forecasts, categories, monetization, and attention. Let's quickly look at where the market is going, because ASO always follows users' behavior and money. Generative AI, from experiment to paid value. Generative AI is no longer a nice-to-have feature. In 2026, it's becoming a paid, mainstream product category. Users are now willing to pay for real value: AI assistants, creative tools, automation. Most top apps today are either AI first or use it partly. AI first apps like ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Grok, Sora, and Microsoft Copilot are built entirely around AI and would not exist without it. AI-powered creative apps such as CapCut, RealShot, and Pose AI Photo rely heavily on AI for editing, generation, recommendations, and automation. Mainstream platforms including TikTok, Instagram, Threads, WhatsApp, and others use AI extensively for content recommendation, feed and search ranking, personalization, moderation, and spam detection. Games and consumer apps like Blockblast, Clash Royale, Fortnite, Slider.io, and others also apply AI internally for matchmaking, balancing, anti-fraud, and optimization, even if it is invisible for users. In reality, AI is now embedded across nearly all top apps, wherever as the core product or as a critical infrastructure layer driving growth and engagement. For ASO, it means competition is getting tougher. You must clearly explain what your AI actually does, right from the icon, the first screenshot, and the opening message. Vertical videos and short drama, decisions in seconds. Short-form series and drama apps are exploding. Users install faster, more emotionally, and with less analysis. Those apps are already beating traditional streaming platforms in downloads, even if long-form platforms still win on watch time. For ASO, it means your store page must instantly communicate genre, format, and emotional tone, no guessing. Mobile games, simple entry, deep monetization. Successful mobile games in 2026 follow one clear principle: easy to start, how to master. The first session is designed to process without conflict. Simple mechanics, instant feedback, and a clear sense of progress within the first minutes. This is critical because the most users decide whether to keep or delete a game almost immediately. Under the surface, however, those games rely on deep systems. Progression loops, meta layers, live events, and long-term monetization through battle passes, subscriptions, and in-game economies. For ASO, this creates a very specific challenge. The store page should sell simplicity and fun, not complexity. Users should not feel daunted before installation. If you look at top mobile games, you'll notice the same pattern. They don't explain system or monetization, they sell the first experience, how easy and fun it's to start. This is something you can clearly see in visual comparison. When you open the games category and compare top titles side by side, most screenshots focus on gameplay itself. Not menus, not system, not in-app purchases. Instead, they highlight what the player does in the first minutes, emotional rewards like winning and progress, and visual proof of fun through gameplay, first screenshots and short previews. All complex systems are revealed after install, once the player is already engaged. In other words, ASO for games is about promising an easy first win, while death and monetization do their work later. Faster releases, high competition. AI tools are making app creation faster than ever, but launching an app no longer guarantees attention. Thousands of new apps complete for the same users every day. That's why ASO is no longer a post-launch task. It's part of a go-to-market strategy from day one. Regulation and more fragmented users' journey. The EU has introduced new rules that directly affect developers. In Europe, the App Store and Google Play are no longer the only distribution channels. Developers can attract users through alternative app stores or directly from their websites, creating their own marketing and installation channels. Monetization is also becoming more flexible. External payment systems and links to them are allowed, and in some cases, store commissions can be reduced or avoided. This gives developers more control over revenue and user relationships, but also adds new responsibilities around security, billing, and users' trust. In practice, this means more consent screens, alternative payment flows, external links, and additional decisions points before and after install. As a result, the user's journey is no longer linear. There are more steps and more moments where users can hesitate or drop off. For ASO, this changes the focus. Store pages now play a critical role in pre-building trust before the users even installs. Clearly explaining what the app does, setting correct expectations, and reducing uncertainty. Key ASO implications. Transparency becomes a conversion factor, clear value, no misleading promises. Localization is no longer optional, both language and culture context matter. Visual clarity helps users decide faster in a more complex journey. In regulated markets, ASO is not only attractive but also reliable. All of those shifts point to one thing: in 2026, ASO is no longer about optimization, it's about strategy. App discovery is now driven by users' intent and artificial intelligence. Store pages are becoming personalized systems rather than static lists, and visual elements are the primary language of conversion. Today, ASO is a continuous process of testing, learning, and scaling, especially as acquisition costs continue to rise and markets become more regulated. In this reality, the winners are not the teams that simply optimize store pages, but those that manage how users find, understand, and choose your apps. If you want to build ASO as a growth system rather than just tweaking keywords and screenshots, you'll find everything you need on this channel. Don't forget to follow for updates.